Hello, good afternoon, and welcome at the round table at Eötvös International Documentary Human Rights Film Festival. We have a very important topic for all of the festival goers and the festival organizers, which is titled Surviving Pandemia, Festivals and the Global Challenge. And I'm very happy that today we could join forces discussing this topic with festival representatives literally from all over the world. And welcome also to the viewers and listeners. On this occasion, let me introduce our speakers today. And very briefly, I'll introduce myself as well. My name is Oksana Sarkisova. I'm Eötvös Festival Director, and I'm also a research fellow at Blinken Open Society Archives at Central European University, which is organizer of Eötvös Film Festival together with Eötvös Film Foundation. And together with me, there are my great colleagues and partners in this difficult festival organizing field. So, pleasure to introduce to you Csilla Kató from Astra Film Festival, who is also member of Eötvös jury this year, so here in multiple roles present at the festival, and has been really the soul of Astra Film Festival since 1998, and lately have been working as the head programmer and artistic director of Astra Film Festival. Had very interesting experience this year with actually running 2 editions of the festival, which we hope to hear from you in detail. Csilla has studied cultural anthropology and film at Eötvös Loránt University in Budapest, and also studied at the London School of Economics and the Australian National University in Canberra. Welcome, Csilla. Together with us is also Florence Santucci from Human Rights and Environmental Film Festival from Argentina. Welcome, Florencia. It's great that you could connect to this conversation as well. Florencia has started working for television channels in Rome, Italy, and then moved to Buenos Aires, where she studied at the Institute of Film Arts or Cinematographic Arts. And since 2004 has been working as producer, cultural manager, and programmer, first for various film festivals and events. And then currently she is vice president of the Institute of the Multimedia Institute Der Alc, and director of the Festival Internacional de Cine de Derechos Humanos, so the Festival of Human Rights, which is the first human rights film festival in South America, and also the Festival International de Cine Ambiental. Both are held in Buenos Aires. She's also board member of the Human Rights Film Network, of which Eötvös is also a member, and the Green Film Network as well. So welcome, Florencia. Also together with us today is Tadeusz Stracek from Watchdogs Film Festival in Warsaw, Poland, a great sister festival as well for Eötvös. Tadeusz is festival coordinator, has been working with Watchdogs since 2011. And Tadeusz is a graduate of the American Studies Center, University of Warsaw. He also studied at Humboldt University in Berlin and Pi University in Berlin as well. And last but not least, Adam Pasternak, head of Creative Europe Desk in Hungary. Adam graduated from Karol Gáspár Protestant University Faculty of Arts and Humanities, Department of English Literature and Culture in 2004. And since that year, he also started working at Media Desk Hungary. And since 2014, he's head of media sub-program in Hungary. So welcome, Adam, welcome everybody. And we are going to talk about festivals and cultural events specifically in this very extraordinary year in many senses. But let me start by asking you to introduce a little bit your events, your festivals, the specificities of your festivals in general, how you see it evolving over time, very briefly in a few minutes, and then we'll get to more detailed and specific questions related to this year experiences. And let us start maybe chronologically in a way. Festival in Buenos Aires in Argentina takes place in spring. So you were the first one actually to face the difficulties. So I would like to ask you, Florencia, to introduce your festivals. Actually, you run both, right? The Human Rights Festival and Environmental Film Festival. So please tell us about these two events, to what extent they correlate, what's the interaction there, a little bit of a background to our audience.
Thank you, Oksana, and all the Versio team. So my colleagues, I'm very happy to be in this virtual debate panel. That is one of the opportunity that this condition offer us. So thank you very much for the kind invitation. My name is Florence Santucci. As you, Oksana, said, I'm the director of two festivals, the Festival Internacional de Cine de Derechos Humanos, FICD, that take place in Argentina, and was the first human rights film festival in Latin America since 1997. So there's a long time, and we had a long story also helping other festivals in the region to start up and to also start debating on human rights from cinema, that it wasn't something really strong in this period. And now we have, fortunately, many other festivals, also big festivals that include human rights section, awards, etc. But also I'm also the director of FINCA, that is the Environment Film Festival International, that talk about environment issues through a human rights approach. That is another point, because we can have a lot of festivals talking about environmental issues, but not from this point of view. So we are really committed with all people that lost their life and are fighting to defend the natural resources. In South America particularly, we have a lot of people that are killed or persecuted because of their commitment with environmental issues, social fights. So indigenous people, peasants, are all these themes that we include in our festival, but we divide it into two events because in Argentina we have a long story with human rights related with the persecution during the dictatorship, and we have fortunately a good memory on the past, but not so much on the present. So we would like to join those points, environmental issues and human rights, to take in account what is happening today. So we organized those festivals biennial basis. So this year was the FINCA, the 5th edition, and next year will be the FICD on human rights issues on migrants. That will be the 19th edition. So we organize this from our association, a no-profit association. We have a little team, but with a lot of relation inside the story of the association and our organization. Also work on films or audiovisual contents along the year, also with the educational sections and workshops for professionals or for students. So we are working all the along with our festival, because we have also traveling screenings in Argentina, but also in Costa Rica and in Paraguay, where we are organizing our next edition in Paraguay online too. And this is really important for us because we are working on regional points of view and trying to debate those strong topics on the current situation through this approach. So for the first presentation, I think it's enough. Then we can talk deeper about this year and the special condition for us.
Thank you, Florencia. It's a great event, and it's great to also hear that you manage on so many tracks and in so many locations, and also in partnership with other countries as well. This is really fantastic. I would like then maybe to explore a bit more the activities that you do within the framework of the festival. And I would like to ask Csilla to tell us a little bit more about Astra Film Festival, which usually happens in October, quite close to Versio dates. So it's a fantastic event, but very difficult to attend to those who are working on Versio already. But this year was also special for you. So tell us a little bit first about Astra Festival as such, and then in the second round we'll turn to this edition, this year's edition's experiences. And you're muted, so we don't hear you. Please unmute your mic.
Now, can you hear me? Yes. Now? Okay. So, as you already introduced, Astra Film Festival is a well-established festival, documentary film festival in Romania, and it's one of the oldest in the region. It started in the 1993, so it was right after the collapse of the communist system in this area, and it has a continuity till today. This year we have been preparing several scenarios how to make this festival happen. And eventually we turned out to make a variant which we didn't plan. So in the beginning of August, when we saw that the pandemic is not going in the right direction for our plans to keep the festival in cinemas, we decided suddenly to split our program in two. And the first part of the festival to keep it in the open air, and the second part in October online. So we that's how it happened. In fact, in the first part in September, we have organized 10 days open air festival, and I will send you in the chat. I sent now. Can you see it? A link eventually. It's a short video, kind of a making of about the the open air edition. Did it arrive?
We can see it, but our audiences cannot. So if you suggest to play the link, then maybe we can try to find a possibility of playing it. Or if you send it just for internal reference, then we'll post it into the chat box, yeah, so that people can play it on their own. And I also would like to encourage everyone who is watching us now, if you have any questions, put them into the chat box as we discuss, as we go along, and then at the end we'll take your questions.
So we can, I don't know what is the time, we can just have a look on that. I don't know how to play it on Zoom, but if not, anyway, it's just an idea to have a look a bit, because eventually what came out on the open air edition was far above our imagination. So I think it is nice to have the video, because you might not imagine also how it was. The work was also incredibly exhausting. We couldn't, I mean, we didn't have this experience before, and it was incredibly exhausting, these 10 days. In fact, now as we are kind of recovered from all these two editions, I can say that it was worth, especially because nothing happened. I mean, there is no pandemic hub which we were afraid of very much, because eventually there were thousands of people coming. So we were really afraid, and we kept all the instructions, but you know, it's just very hard to keep it. And all the feedback was fantastic. People really liked it. They relaxed and they watched the film, and eventually we could keep all our festival practices, which we usually do. So it was not a kind of, we didn't change the profile of the festival because of the open air edition. We kept all the Q&As, we kept all the discussions, and eventually the public was welcoming, and it happened, and it worked, which is great. So that was the open air part, and the online part was just a usual online festival with the other half of the films, with all the advantages and disadvantages of any online festival, which we all can discuss. But I think there are similar things on the online part.
We will indeed get into the discussion of the online editions, past and future and planned ones. And I would just like to ask if you would like to add something in general about the festival profile at this stage, or the evolution of your festival identity, as then we will be moving into more specific.
Yes. What is, I mean, we are talking about 28 years, so eventually this is a historical time already. We are talking about quarter of century, which means that, of course, it started somehow, and it is totally different in a way now. But of course, the same, the main thing remained. Documentary cinema is at the core of the festival. Promotion of the cinema as an art is the core of the festival, and we actually had a journey in this quarter of century of all the changes of this genre, including the formats and the approach and the wonderful development of creative documentary, which happened all over the world. We witnessed this fantastic phenomena through the festival, and eventually for many years, this was the only place to watch creative documentary in Romania, and it had a regional part also that they were attending, a lot of people attending from the region. Now, of course, there are other places as well in Romania where you can watch these films, which is great, because we cannot cover all the films or the huge production which happened in these years. So yeah, we have a regional focus also on the selection. We have the Romanian documentary film showcase, and of course we have an industry program, and we have a very good and a big educational program for children with films for 3 age groups. And this year we couldn't keep it, but last year it was totally madness. It was 25,000 children attending in 5 days, which is just really crazy. It became a big event that as well. That
amazing numbers.
Yeah.
Amazing numbers. Congratulations. Thank you, Csilla. That's great, and it's really a very important event in the region, indeed, Astra Film Festival. And let me now turn to Tadeusz and ask you to talk a little bit about Watchdogs, which is usually taking place in December. So you're still preparing, I guess, very actively this year's edition. So tell us a little bit about Watchdogs in general terms, and then we'll get into this year's challenges.
Thank you, Oksana. Thank you very much for having me, and hello all. It's really a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for me to participate in such a discussion, because as you've said, we are starting our festival in 2 weeks, so it's usually very difficult for us to visit, although we are neighbors. So it's a great opportunity to be here with you. As you've already introduced me, I'm the festival coordinator of the Watchdogs Human Rights in Film International Film Festival, which is held annually in Warsaw, Poland. Apart from the international edition that is taking part every December, we also organize the traveling festival, which visits more than 30 localities around Poland every year. Then we also organize, we have organized also before the pandemic a VOD edition, an internet installment of the festival together with the International Film Festival in December. This year, due to obvious reasons, we had to develop this part even stronger. Apart from that, we also have a DIY program for our audiences, which is targeted at everyday viewers, documentary viewers who can set up and organize documentary screenings for their friends, colleagues at work, at various institutions, etc. So we basically cover the screening fees for very general use, and then provide also reference materials written by and prepared experts from various fields. Apart from that, we also have a industry-oriented program. The main element of which is a Future Docs platform, which is a program of workshops for documentary filmmakers and human rights activists and defenders. And it was based on the idea of a reverse pitching. So usually producers and authors of films pitch their ideas to decision makers. And here this logic is reversed, and these are documentary filmmakers, human rights activists who pitch their ideas to documentary filmmakers. And the idea of that program is to make a human rights problem that are underrepresented on screen to have bigger impact and to promote those underrepresented human rights problems among audiences. We had the pleasure also to help establish and organize now very established film festivals. Our neighbors, for example, Inconvenient Films, Docu Days, Watchdogs Belarus, and we also had an installment in Myanmar. And last but not least, the festival is organized by the Helsinki Foundation for Human Rights, which has many legal departments, but one of the departments of the foundation is also the Watchdogs Festival. As for our identity, we combine cinematic creative documentaries with a strong focus on human rights and social issues, and we've been doing that for 20 years now. The 20th edition will start in 2 weeks.
Thank you very much, Tadeusz, and congratulations on this jubilee, on this anniversary of the festival. Adam, of course, as festival representatives, we know very well what Creative Europe Media Program is and its importance, but maybe you can a little bit introduce the activities of Creative Europe Desk in Hungary, and also more generally what Creative Europe is doing in European Union and beyond.
So just very briefly, so my name is Adam Pasternak, and I work as the head of the Creative Europe Desk in Hungary. Creative Europe is a 1.46 billion European Union program for the cultural and creative sectors for the years from 2014 to 2020. The program has two main strands: the media and the culture. These are two separate sub-programs, and the media sub-program offers support for the European audiovisual industry in several fields, such as development, TV programming, cinema distribution, online promotion, VOD, market access, development of video games even. And last but not least, it provides financial support for European film festivals. And besides the cause, media supports around 50 European training programs, film markets, pitch forums, in order to enhance international cooperation in the film industry. As I mentioned, the present Creative Europe program ends in 2020, and the new program will start at the beginning of next year in 2021 and will last until 2027. But at the moment, the future of the program is very obscure. But one thing is sure, that it will go on, it will continue, but we don't know too much at the moment about the details, but we'll see.
Thank you, Adam. Certainly, last but not least, is the support for the festivals. It's very important. And now we arrive to the year 2020, which is, you know, for all these festivals that invested a lot into building communities, into doing the outreach and bringing people together. You know, we started already in the spring with lockdowns, with a lot of events, especially in the cultural field, cancelled or postponed or altogether transformed. So, Florencia, how did you take the challenge? And you had to make these decisions really on a very short notice. So tell us a little bit about it.
Yes, really. We organized the 5th FINCA on climate crisis on June 2020. So it was incredible that despite the topic had been decided a year before, it was so deeply related with the health emergency. So it was so clear that we needed to do the festival anyway. We need to sustain this space of debate and critical reflection. And so we decided to promptly to assume the challenge to do the festival anyway, carrying out this special virtual edition. Although no other festival in Argentina did before us, and we only could look at around us and other festivals like Movie That Matter, that is also part of our Human Rights Network, or Vision du Réel made a really great festival online. And so for us was so a few days and time to arrange everything, 2 months, I think. And so it was really strong because we needed to change also our point of view, our mind, our team organization. We left some coordinator areas and coordinator, but we finally obtained a big event, really incredible, because we tripled the number of audiences. So since the edition before, we reached 9,000 audiences, and in this online virtual edition, we exceed 31,000, and we could maintain almost all the titles, the programming that we have already selected before the decision of split on virtual format. So it was very good. Also the reception from director distributors. Only 2 movies we couldn't include in our programming, but many. All the others, directors and movies, were part of our festival. Also workshops. We made a great workshop on green production that was so connected with this time. No? As I say, the main message that we could develop and spread out was that we need to change our system of life, production, consumption, starting from cinema, from culture. So in this point of view, the virtual format also reduced the contamination, the consumer of carbon. So not something good in this from this point of view, but also we had to develop a lot of strategy on communication. So we needed more people working on it, and we reached more than 30,000 followers on our social network. So it was really good. but we needed to divide it into different targets, no, more than we do usually. So for young people, we work a lot on Instagram. We made a lot of smart debate on Instagram with activists, with filmmakers, and it was really good for us because we discovered another field, and also other audiences. We reach a lot of audiences from all the country, now that we, although we made a lot of traveling screenings, we never reached everybody. So it was really good for us to bring our message and content through cinema on human rights and environmental point of view for many others kind of spectators. But of course, we also had some troubles related with budget because COVID emergency cut on culture, everything. So it was strong to manage it and to take good decision, because we needed to lost some areas of our festival and increase all the others. So for transportation, food, accommodation, we have no expenses, but with a lot of others like Zoom, like interpretation, like others topics that we know we needed to reformulate. And so the good thing was we were supported on a national platform that wasn't our own platform, but we used the private but national and for free. So it developed another way for festivals to do online. So from our experiences, many other festivals could work in the same way from social network with debates online and through these platforms. And we use also a public platform for another traveling event that we did 1 month ago, and it was also better because we obtained from the government not this kind of reconnaissance and so the support that we need as a national festival, because many of us couldn't do your own edition this year for these conditions. So we are now developing our own platforms. At the end, it's something that we decided it was the only way to still work on this, because we don't want to leave this opportunity to reach a national audience, to make debates and workshops with the people from every part of the world. We had all the directors and guests during our ceremonies. That's something that we never obtained. So there are many good opportunities on this. And so we work with the OpenDDB Stream, that is an Italian organization, also with an ethic point of view about how to share movies and this content, no? Because we can't go on private platforms that don't have our own point of view on human rights, environmental commitment. So also this debate was really important inside of our team. So we are for starting with our new platform next week with FilmCAD edition in Paraguay. So we will be geo-blocked in every country where we'll do these events. And we are very happy about it because we hope to develop also others catalogs to share movies on these topics that have not others distribution or condition right now, that in Argentina we have all cinemas closed and no perspective on cultural restart for next month. So it's something important to take into account. So this is the resume of our experience in this year.
Thank you, Florence. Do I understand it right that the national platform that you have used originally was designed for different cultural initiatives and was shared, or was it made available just for your festival, or it was not specifically targeting, or it was specifically designed for film festivals in the first place and you had to customize it?
Yes, it was strange because they had already a platform working, but it wasn't used by festivals. it was like screenings online for free, because it is supported by a big journal. So they have all the technique and security system behind. So we were the first festival that used these platforms with new content, because we uploaded movies that weren't were the premiere, most of them. So it was something different to generic screening. So it was the first time, but it is a private organization. But with this proposal to people that is for free. The next platform, the second platform we used was a national platform from Educational Ministry. So this is another approach.
Thank you for this clarification. Yes, indeed, the question of what platform to use and how to customize it to the festival needs is something that is, I guess, on everyone's agenda. Csilla, you had already told us a little bit about this year experience, and that you had both versions of the festival, early live edition followed up by an online one in October. Could you tell us a little bit about the differences between the two, and specifically about the online part? How did you choose the platform? How did you choose the way to communicate to the audience, and what was the response?
Yes, we have chosen Fest Home as a platform, and we have actually concentrated to take the opportunity that we have. We are exposing for the first time in Romania our program for the whole for everybody in the country, which is a great opportunity in itself, and we had a very good response, but still it was not comparable somehow. Even if the numbers and statistically we had more audience than we could have had any time in a normal case, having had in cinema halls, still we were missing the festival idea and the festival feeling. So in a way, I actually, if we didn't have, I had the feeling that we didn't have a festival. So the online part, I couldn't consider a festival, even if we had some debates and some discussions, but somehow, yeah, the essence of festival is not, it is not just watching films in an atomized way. The essence of the festival is that we have to watch it together with the audience. So that is my personal conclusion as a festival organizer. I don't know what to say. That is the most important thing which I realized. Eventually, this is something which most of the festival organizers are talking about, and there is something which we never thought, which we somehow knew but never talked about. The importance of the spatial aspect and the ritual aspect of the festival, because it was a given thing, never happened before to not to have it, no. So yeah, and it is very interesting. I think what is interesting is because some festivals they even kept the schedule. It's not our case, but I know festivals that they made a schedule and they kind of streamed the film, and then they had the Q&A. And in that case, either it was not the same. The discussions and the festival couldn't be replicated online. Which for me, it's a very interesting conclusion, is that when we have it in a very, in the screening rooms in one place, there is another communication going on in the screening room, which is not verbal communication, and which we cannot describe otherwise than the atmosphere, the emotions, which you can feel in the air. It's a very interesting zone. We need to reflect and eventually formulate in words also what's happening in fact in festivals, which we cannot replicate online so far. I can imagine somehow that the infrastructure of online world can develop in a way that we can somehow replicate this togetherness, but so far it is not yet developed, no?
I think this is a very valid point, that on the one hand, one cannot transfer completely what happens in the physical space into the online space. So one has to think differently about these events. And also that the importance of physical presence is really a crucial component of such events. So we all take all the advantages that we gained this year as, as staying with us, but hopefully not being able to still return into the physical spaces. So clearly that is everyone's wish and desire. And I think you were really heroic this year and had the best of both worlds in a way with these two editions. But it's also an incredible pressure on the organizers. So one also cannot have that as a regular practice. So that's also, I guess, part of the lesson. And then Watchdogs, you are in a way in a beneficial position of learning, right? Throughout that year, collecting best experiences, all the know-how. What are your plans? How are you doing it in 2 weeks? And what were the lessons learned that you are going to apply to this year's anniversary edition?
You're right. Yes, we had this opportunity to watch other festivals that were held before us, from spring through summer and then to the autumn. And we finally decided to present all films and to make them available to our audiences throughout the festival, not with replicating a screening sort of experience, starting at a given hour and then having a Q&A. And this was a really interesting process, because the first big festival that was held after the pandemic started in Poland was the Krakow Film Festival, a very established and big festival. And it was in June, so they didn't have much time, and their natural response was to organize it in a way to replicate the festival experience, and they did very well. They had great numbers, and it seemed like a good way to go. But then other festivals started to transform their programs more to a VOD experience, which means to stream the whole program throughout the whole festival. And we also decided to do that because this seemed a way to go, and a very clear direction in the industry in Poland. And what's also, I think, very important is that in the online space, festivals do not only compete for viewers, but they also compete with all the streaming giants like Netflix and HBO Go. And we've already had messages like that it's maybe more difficult to access festival films than like subscribing to Netflix and not having to worry about anything. So this was the only way for us to respond to make the experience as easy as possible for the viewers. Nevertheless, we have the limits imposed on the festival films. They vary, and we do not really communicate the numbers to the audiences because it would be too difficult. So we just inform our viewers that there are some limits. So this is a kind of tricky situation because we want to make the films available for the viewers throughout the whole period, but sometimes with some titles it's not really possible because distributors and the rights holders have other ideas in mind, and we really cannot encroach that much into this online space. Like for example, this is another field of sales like VODs and etc. So yeah, I think this is one of the challenges that we as festivals are facing this year. So yes, we will organize the festival from December 4th, and we also prolonged it for another week, so it will take 10 days this year. And after the proper festival, we will also hold a smaller VOD edition with another selection of best films from the 20 years of festival. One thing that I might also point here is that in a very saturated market that Poland is, we are now also we have this opportunity on the one hand to fight for the viewers from other cities and other localities, but on the other hand, it's even a more difficult from the organizing point of view, because you somehow compete for the titles with other festivals that usually didn't that was not that much important before. Of course, national premieres are a priority for everyone, but sometimes a city premiere is as valuable as a national premiere for the audiences in a given city. Right now, this changed.
Yes, indeed. And here at Versio, we also implemented a lot of similar policies. We've also extended the festival days and made the films available throughout the festival period, and also tried to engage the audience through a new startup, Dialog, which allows to ask video questions asynchronically and then get video answers. So trying to find ways to stay connected, and stay connected not just in synchronous way, but also in asynchronous way, but certainly it's still a learning process as to how to make it work. What is the platform that you are working with? Are you cooperating also with some of the national media outlets, or is it your own platform that you're building? Are you sharing with some other festivals already designed platforms? What was your choice in this respect?
So in previous years, as I've mentioned, we also had this VOD edition organized with one of the media outlets, one of the biggest media outlets in Poland. But it does not allow for such an extent of customization. So we couldn't extend the whole festival to work with this platform. And we are organizing the festival with a platform which was actually established right after the pandemic by the Association of Art House Cinemas in Poland. It's called My eCinema, of course, translated to Polish, and it allows for for example, limits of viewers to a certain screening or film rather than a screening. And some more customization. It has a ticketing system, which was also very important for us. So yes, we are working with the platform developed by the Association of Art House Cinemas. We thought about developing our own platform, but we finally decided not to do that because of a number of reasons. For example, the ticketing system, which is a very difficult area in itself. And we decided to do this with a partner with experience and already built platform for this year.
Thank you. Adam, at what point Creative Europe started thinking and planning changes in the way it supports different creative industries and festivals more specifically?
Yes, it is quite obvious that all festivals were affected by the pandemic. Some of them originally planned their activities according to the current situation, and some of them changed their ways after they were selected. But media was proved to be very understanding and flexible in these difficult times. I guess the first step that was obviously an answer to this huge problem that the whole film industry was facing was the extra financial aid for the Europa Cinema network, which was a 5 million euros allocation for the cinemas that were hit by the pandemic. But as many of you have already mentioned, besides the obvious difficulties and challenges, there are also some benefits of this situation, like, for example, digital tools open new opportunities. Some festivals managed to double, or as I heard, triple their tickets admissions. And it seems clear that the hybrid format will continue after the situation will get normal in, I don't know when, but this can be a sustainable format for many festivals. Or another benefit is that online solutions in the programming allows access to more diverse content. And as there are less risks in the programming online, therefore content can be more diverse and more brave in a way. Or online tools allow festival organizers to reach a larger audience beyond the local region, and also online catalogs are eco-friendly, and the cut down on the travels is in accordance with the Green Deal of the EU. So these small steps can lead to a more eco-friendly world, even in the case of festivals. So I guess many festivals, and not just the festivals, but all the applicants that were selected through media after March, they could change their applications and I guess in all cases where it was justified, the media was it was very flexible. In a very flexible way that they could alter and adapt to the new situation.
Yes, we were also fortunate this year to receive support of creative media, even though it was also a challenging moment because the decision came 2 weeks before the festival. So we basically had to plan both scenarios of having and not having at the same time. So it was very challenging. But this year is all about that, overcoming all sorts of challenges. But I would like to ask Adam, is there any conversation now about creative media supporting specific digital solutions or digital activities within the festivals, offering any kind of additional support or creating platforms that could be used by different festivals who would then not have to create their own local national solutions, but maybe there would be a possibility of joining forces there if there would be a solution that would be flexible enough that could accommodate the needs of different festivals in different countries.
Well, the main problem is that 2020 marks the end of this program, and there are any budget left for this program. But we are very optimistic because last week the EU negotiators have agreed on a new budget of 2.2 billion euros for Creative Europe's next program, and this provision marks a 50% increase compared to the present program, which is a huge number. The last program it was 9% increase compared to this 50%. So I'm very positive that they are working on the next calls, and they will somehow put these measurements into the new calls. But right now we don't see anything what will happen exactly. And how the Creative Europe will help, but there will be some money for this. It's
okay. Well, we are looking forward to more news, because indeed creative industries were and continue to be hit hard throughout this year and probably in the beginning of the next year as well. So certainly some support would be very much needed in order to restore a lot of the things that will be severely damaged this year. But yes, there are of course new developments as well, and we're also trying to stay optimistic and trying to make the most out of these difficult conditions, and also to help our audiences to create access to the very important films and to initiate debates about very important issues. But let's now dig into the festival specifics a bit more and talk about programming specifically, because clearly we already, some of you also mentioned that we have to rethink how we do things online, right? And so we also have to rethink programming. So what are your thoughts, or what are your experiences and conclusions based on this year? How would you do if you would do programming differently for an online event? Whoever would like to take the floor now.
Well, I can start again. In our case, for this year edition, we use the same programming we already selected before. So there were 76 titles online for a week only. All of them would be exceeded anytime. So only three movies we had a specific schedule. But for next edition, we'll think if we'll do a hybrid format, but we'll try to reduce the number of titles online, because it's so much difficult to reach all the audience in this week online, or with all these conditions that you already said, that now we are competing with Netflix and others, a lot of events online. So we need to choose specific target and time, and so the amount of movies will be reduced, but in the same time we'll try to get the audience more connected with the debates and this connection with the personal meeting that we can't do freely. We have to do it virtually, but we need to maintain this connection. So the Q&A or others a way to connect with, for example, in our case, we had a great event with the students, because we let your own videos, the videos made by students online for all the week. But we organized several debates around all the video with the students and others, filmmakers or activists. So every day this increased the number of people looking on those sections because it was related with the strategy of the communication we developed. So we'll try to work more specific on which movies will be online and which event will be making with this kind of connection to reach best quality of the event. So not the amount of movies or audiences, but the quality of it, because the hybrid format, I think, need these other strategies that are related with how to reach some specific goal in this virtual way. Or if we can make some screening in a theater that we hope to come back, we'll do some specific screening to also have a streaming online while we were inside the theater with a reduced audience inside. So this is our idea for the moment.
So for you, from your experience, what do you see as the ideal number for an online festival?
50 titles, I think this is the best quantity of titles that we can reach online for a week, and then try to select other events to reach more audience or to make it stronger.
Thank you. This is the number we settled on this year in our program, exactly 50 titles. Csilla, you had 2 programs. Were they overlapping? Were they identical? Or have you programmed differently for the online edition?
Eventually, we have programmed both events. We were very much concerned to have strong titles which are good for general audience, because we in this year for sure we had extended the general audience. At least it was a possible access for more audience, both in the open air edition and on the online. So in this sense, we actually made a special programming section for the online edition. We made best of Astra Film Festival films from earlier edition, which were very popular with the general public, so that especially for the newcomers, and we promoted as such. So we said, look, if you haven't been to Astra Film Festival before, but you want to taste it, you can just start with that. And we actually designed the ticketing in that way as well. So you could just have that section, or you could have individual tickets as well. So in terms of programming, I think it was again a very important conclusion which I arrived in times of pandemic and pandemic festivals. At least in our festival, the fragile titles are kind of lost in this edition, and it is interesting to realize this, because you want to have the public to watch it. So you cannot start with experimental and fragile titles, and this was interesting to see. When the normal festival is going on, you can always have have the chance to program in a smaller screening room, a fragile title, and people are going in. But in this environment, it was hard to do that. So,
that's right. This is also, that is, I mean, our ongoing experience now as we're looking at the numbers. So the polarization is much stronger, in fact. So some titles are very highly seen and highly demanded and attended, and the previously niche films, which had its own audience, are somehow even more marginalized in the online world, and that polarity is, in a way, is much more radicalized, which is something also to reflect upon. But I think you also made this very good point about, you know, going back to the titles which are in a way out of the festival circuit already, because they are in this constantly moving ahead world in which the titles are, you know, out of the festival circuit in 2 years' time. But in fact, many of them have aged well, in the sense that they're still relevant and important and beautiful works. And given the sad prediction, but probably a realistic prediction, that the output will be, at least in the next year, decreasing, because the pandemic also affected the work of the documentary filmmakers. Yeah. So probably the new titles will be fewer, and we certainly can revisit the strong films that we've already had in the programs, or we couldn't screen previously because of the limitations, and reconsider including them again. And I think that will refresh also our memory, and that will also help the documentary film culture to see certain continuities and to reflect on the development of the documentary film culture, longitudinally.
Yeah, I think it for us, for example, it is a very good time to manage more our archive, which we are doing regularly, but we are doing in a very Pompieristic way, just as much as time we can afford until the next edition starts. So now we actually turn more to our archive. And I think it is very important, this as well. A lot of titles not watched for enough people. I mean, it is very good to have it back. And you know, as the good wine, you know, as likewise the good films are even better after after a while. So it is fantastic to rewatch them and to rediscover them.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Very good point. Tadeusz, how is your program now? You've already could weigh again what is the online space allows. How is your program looking now? Can you tell us a little bit? I don't know if it's public already or not yet, but how many titles do you plan to screen? And
yes, it's already
good.
Public.
So tell us the highlights, please.
So I actually concur with most of your remarks. We will present 50 titles this year. So this is I think that the similar thinking was put in place here. And we actually didn't make dramatic changes to the program in comparison to last year, the last year edition, for example, when it comes to the selection process. Of course, maybe at the back of our heads, we had these ideas about niche films getting lost in the internet. But anyway, we decided to go with a number of titles of that sort, because they also make up the festival, and they really stand out the event among other content available on the internet. So we will see how it goes, but we take it into consideration that they might not have such a great visibility as some other titles. What you've already pointed out, Oksana, is that this polarization is probably what we will also experience in Poland. And we actually did the same as Csilla said. We will have this section best of 20 years of Watchdogs, actually after the festival, but it will sort of prolong the festival itself. So we also resorted to this idea. On the one hand, because it's the 20th edition of the festival, and we want to remember the best titles, but also because they are very strong, and then they can play well with our audiences. So we will see how it goes. I hope it goes well and that we exceed our numbers. But of course, we are also looking forward to coming back to the cinemas next year. But probably this is something that I think it's not possible right now to go back to return to fully offline festivals. And from the Polish market, I think it's already visible that hybrid festivals will stay there for long, because they it's too much of a temptation for festivals right now, after they've succeeded to lose this opportunity. So I think we'll have to think of hybrid festivals in years to come.
Yes, and of course the hybrid festivals are important in a way because they increase the outreach and people beyond the traditional places and venues can also connect to the festival, but also because there is this magic of numbers. And certainly all of you have managed the increase in numbers. We are also, I think, already by now over the last year attendance, and we still have quite a few days to go until Sunday. We still have to analyze the statistics a little bit more carefully, because of course it might be misleading as well. It's one thing to buy a ticket and sit in the cinema and watch the film from the beginning to an end, and it's another thing to have accreditation and to actually kind of scan through the program, open the film, watch 5 minutes of it, and jump further. That will count as a view in the statistics if it's not filtered out, right? But I think festivals will not be filtering out the partially viewed films, because that would be just too much work and also a big loss. But also there is this misleading push for eternal increase. And now I think many festivals will do that jump, that radical jump, and that will be very hard to then go back, because it will look like a loss. And I think part of the whole story here is that whenever we write applications to Creative Europe or to any other funder, there is the expectation that there should be growth. And there is already an ongoing discussion that maybe that type of thinking is problematic in itself, and maybe we should talk about sustainability rather than permanent growth. But that expectation still has not changed on the part of the funding agencies. And I would like to ask Adam maybe to comment on that magic of numbers, that we are somehow expected to always produce the increase of numbers in whatever, in audience, in titles, in supplementary programs, in activities, in outreach. So there is this fixation on growth that is very strong pressure on the festivals. Is there any discussion that you follow or aware of that would be taking it a little bit critically and thinking that if we talk about sustainability, it doesn't mean permanent growth?
Yes, I absolutely agree. And one thing is very important to mention here, because there is a completely new element in the Creative Europe program's festival calls, which is the networks of festivals. And so beside the usual single film festival supports, there is another action called the networks of festivals. And this was the first time that the results came out just a couple of weeks ago. And although only 18 festival networks apply and 4 were selected, but these 4 selected festival networks covered 23 festivals in 17 different countries all over Europe. So we can see that we can see a tendency that instead of small single festivals, media would like to navigate festival organizers towards these bigger festival networks. So it's crucial, and I would recommend for smaller local festivals to improve the cooperation and collaboration with other international film festivals. In practice, this means that only the coordinator of the network would be contracted by the media program, and then the coordinator would keep contract with the member festivals. So maybe can I list these 4 festivals, because it's quite important to know them. So the first one is the Moving Images, Open Borders. This is the name of the first network. It is coordinated by the film festival Cottbus, and it has 6 additional members from Lithuania, Italy, Spain, Serbia, Austria, and France. And the focus of this festival network is on gender programming, audience design, strategies for climate-friendly film festivals, and training of young film journalists and film literacy. The other one is from the Czech Republic, the Doc Alliance, which is a well-known network of documentary festivals founded already in 2008, and it is coordinated by the Jihlava Documentary Film Festival, and it has also five partner festivals: the CPH Docs, Doc Leipzig, Doc Lisboa, and 2 others from Poland and France. The third one is a very very good children festival network called the European Children's Film Festival Network, and it is coordinated by Cinekit from the Netherlands, and it has partners from Belgium, Poland, again Germany, and the Czech Republic, and the fourth one is a Nordic network coordinated by the Buster Film Festival from Denmark, and it has partners from Finland, Norway, and Sweden, and they specialize on children content. So that's what I would recommend to. I'm not sure that they will continue the single festival support at media. It is not yet confirmed that it will diminish completely, but I can see this tendency that they would like to push film festivals towards these bigger networks.
Thank you, Adam. This is, I think, a very important development, and certainly we were already following it as it was in preparation and advertised last year. It remains unclear, and I would like to also ask my festival colleagues to collect the feedback on how they see the perspectives for their festivals in terms of the developments in creative media, I mean specifically for the Europe-based festivals. But what I'm specifically interested in is whether the existence of the networks is going to affect positively the diversity of the festivals, or actually is going to radically reduce the number when the individual festival application will be no longer possible. Also, given that currently, at least the current model is the annual application, and I think a lot of festivals are actually extremely affected by the uncertainty and the impossibility to have any kind of strategic planning or any kind of timeline of 2-3 years ahead, kind of doing these applications again. Doing this on the network level every single year multiplies the challenges and multiplies the difficulties, because it requires coordination and it requires some kind of very thorough thinking through when the festivals that happen at different time in a year will be at a different planning stage. So it's also a challenge to complete the application with the same level of concreteness of what you are actually going to do. So there are a lot of questions and there are a lot of challenges in the network logic of support, even though Versio and many of the festivals present here are of course parts of different networks, already existing networks, and are all about cooperation. So we know how important it is for the festivals to have partners, both regionally but also globally, how important it is to exchange experience and know-how, and sometimes also personnel or advice on how to do things, to do new things, what are the experiences there. And that's why this kind of professional discussions are very, very important. But I'm curious to collect a bit of feedback from Csilla and from Tadeusz in the first place, and also from Florencia, kind of looking at it from a little bit from a distance. What do you think if the individual support is replaced completely by the network applications? What are the gains and what are the losses there?
We also had a discussion with
Csilla, we lost you for a sec, the sound.
Internet is so bad here.
Oh, now we hear you.
Funding of festivals. That's why
No, that's breaking. That's a bit breaking, and yes, we got a message that there is poor internet. Maybe let's wait a sec. Maybe it will get a bit better. Tadeusz, if you can pick on the comment, and then we'll return to Csilla, because maybe it just needs a couple of minutes to get back to normal, because until now it worked quite okay.
Sure. So I agree with all the challenges actually that you've listed for this new perspective. We are currently not supported by the media. Maybe in the future we will have this possibility and privilege. The thing that we discussed internally in the festival team was that with only for networks, the diversity can be lost, and as you've mentioned, Oksana, we are all part of the, for example, the Human Rights Film Network, among others. And however, it's a big network, and even as a European consortium, it would probably not fit the criteria in a good way to make it work. So I think it's a challenge, and we'll have to see how it develops. And I think that with for networks of festivals, I just hope that maybe this perspective of funding for single festivals will be upheld, so that we have this dual thinking supporting networks. And I think it's a good idea to make use of networking and then sharing experiences. But on the other hand, I can also see a lot of benefits for supporting single festivals as well. On the other hand, coming back to what Oksana mentioned, I also see this difficulty in applying to the program. For example, for the festivals that are held in certain parts of the year, like Versio and also Watchdogs. So we get results pretty late. So this is something that probably was discussed, but could be discussed also further how it could be changed or amended to help other festivals be in the same position.
Csilla, how is the connection? I think we now have you back, right?
Yeah.
Yes, great.
I had problems from the very beginning. That's why I was late, because I don't have internet, so I keep going from my telephone to my computer. But anyway, now it's better. So the idea is that we had a meeting with Irina Shovleta from Creative Europe in our festival, and she said that the network support will not replace totally the individual festival support at Media Desk, which is a good idea. I mean, this network, festival network support is piloted this year. We will see how it works, but I think it has to be on an experimental track, as it is quite hard for festivals to rely on only on network festival support. That is my view and our view, and the view of the festivals which were participating, festival organizers participating in this discussion, and that was the feedback we did give to her. But at least so far, yeah, that is our position. And we are very curious to see how Media Desk is responding to the challenges of support and funds for festivals in these special years, because for sure next year will be the same challenges.
Florence, how does it seem to you from a distance? And do you have similar initiatives where the regional networks or the South American film networks would be supported? What do you think?
Of course. We had here many networks that first strengthen collaborations and also the voices, from movies and activism in human rights, environmental issues, but the finding point of view is not easy through networks. So it's quite common to improve some collaboration between few festivals, not to have receive funds as a big network. So I work for both Human Rights Network and Green Film Network, and the point of funding is ever the most complicated. So I think that the risk in these terms of don't give money to specific festivals is to lose the diversity of festivals that don't have financial support from your own governments or region. In terms of all kind of festivals that denounce violences or human rights, for example, we have a lot of festivals that don't receive any support from your own government. So the risk is if you don't find others way to finance your festivals, if it has this kind of critical content, we have no the diversity guarantee. So I think that the most important thing is to reach different kinds of networks that can afford from different points the activities inside festival. For example, industry or professional networks, and also festivals that have a kind of collaboration inside of other thematic festivals. But not only the big festival that make big networks can receive now financial support from, in this case, Creative Europe or whatever, because the risk is to lose all this kind of specific diversity that is not only related with the size of festivals, but is related with the content, with the specific audience, or kind of movies that are in or industry are invited into these festivals. So I think that the main challenge we have internationally to find out from economical crisis that we'll have in every country, every continent, but exchanging these new tools, no? Not only for to find money for a network that have more visibility, but also to find money to develop this field. So the field that have the guarantee to include all diversity, all sectors, all kind of movie or professional development. So I think that is the most important thing to try to work on. And in our case in Argentina, for example, now with this crisis, we lost the area of festivals inside the National Institute of Cinema. So thanks to the network of festival, we are fighting because they want to give the money for each festival only for provinces, for not specific regions. So if you have no good relation with your governor, you can't make festivals on cinema. So it's not the way. So I think we need to develop other strategy to guarantee this kind of diversities that festivals represent, because they have your own stories, background, and now fields.
Certainly, thank you. A very good point, and also very relevant for Versio as well, which is not having the state support, and it's running really from supported by other types of organizations and initiatives and cultural centers and creative media as well for the past 3 years. But that's always an open question, what will happen the next year. So no guarantees there. We are slowly running out of time. So I would like to ask you the last question, and the kind of fantasy question, if you will. So imagine that there are no limitations on your capacities and abilities. We are in the dream world where you can do anything you want at your festival in the online space. So what would be that feature that you would absolutely need to have and like to add to your festival? Now, do not think about any restrictions and limitations. Everything is in your power. What would you do then?
I think that this social element of being together in a cinema is really important. So if there was an opportunity to somehow recreate it online, then we would certainly go for it. With one of the Polish premieres of one of the Polish films, we decided to, apart from streaming on the My eCinema platform, we decided to also stream it on Facebook. It's a short film, and despite the lack of DRM, the owner decided to go for it. Because it's a great opportunity to watch a film together, and actually there is this possibility on Facebook to do that. And the film is it will be a Polish premiere about LGBT rights and the strike in Warsaw, which resulted in clashes with the police this summer. So it's a really hot topic, and we decided that's why we decided to. Not only hot, but also very important from the human rights perspective, very urgent and very immediate. So we decided to also present it in this way. So if there was, but of course, this platform is not suitable for a proper cinema presentation. But if there was a good way to somehow recreate it, I cannot think of like good solutions right now, but this would be probably it.
Thank you. Csilla, what would you do if you had omnipotency? You're muted now.
Yeah. Was the question about only online festival?
It was about only online, but you can also dream about anything you want festival related.
Okay, because it's very different. If it is about online dream festival, of course, I cannot say it very in a detailed way, but I'm sure that it can be made a specific infrastructure which allows simultaneous watching film for public. And of course, I would like to have a huge audience, online audience, watching at the same time, a big premiere. But for that kind of dream event, festival event, which is, let's say, online festival, we also need very specific films and probably a bit different films, because as we all know, the online world especially, it is totally invaded by the industry of attention. I mean, all the social media and all the huge content which is already online is seeking for the attention of millions of people, and we have to enter in this world and take their attention. So we need to have some films which carry further all the values, cinematic values, and all the other values of the documentary cinema, and still it can be competitive with the online contents. So yeah, for the Dream Festival, we need some Dream films as well. Still waiting for them, huh? And of course, a dream infrastructure which allows that community sense watching film event. So yeah, that is my answer. Thank you.
Thank you. Great points. Florencia, yeah. How would your dream festival look like?
To apply a virtual reality so that the space of a festival can be visited by means as an avatar. I'm helping FIC Amazonia Film Festival in this virtual content, and they are developing this format. So it's really interesting. It's something new, because this is the point. When are you going to a debate? Not to open a Zoom, but you are like an avatar crossing the theater or taking a look around you. So it's something interesting to manage both, virtual and personal meeting. But of course, this is the big challenge is to reach a large audience, a lot of diversity inside, and different platforms that combine those moments. To see a movie, to have a Q&A, also to participate into a debate or a workshop. So this is the main challenge, to reach something that could reorganize yourself in a virtual way, but with a social impact, a real impact. So all these topics and debates and energies then go to the street and make connection with the reality, not only the virtual space. So we are looking for new avatars for the next year, but I think that is something good.
Thank you. Yes, staying connected to realities is a very important point, even in the most dream world of online presence. And Adam, for you as a professional audience, so to say, what would be the dream online event? What are you missing in the currently available programs?
Well, I have to tell you that my dream festival would be a usual offline festival. I miss these events so much. I don't remember in my life that almost a year passed since last time I visited a festival. But I guess I don't have a dream festival since I'm not a festival organizer, but I would like to visit all your dream festivals, and I really wish that some of these elements will be reality soon. So
thank you very much.
And also, thank you very much for the feedback about the networks of festivals. Of course, we are also constantly communicating these needs, and we know that it would be very, very important to do these two elements in a parallel way, so to keep the support for single festivals as well.
Thank you very much for this, I think, very deep discussion and very diverse range of opinions and experiences. I think it was important, on the one hand, for us to stay connected and to learn more about each other's works, and also for the audience who will follow us to see how much passion and thinking and planning goes into festivals, and how much we miss the real space connection, and how much we hope that it will return and be again possible to connect next year. I wish you all to stay safe and have great events in the future. First of all, with the Watchdogs, who is coming up in 2 weeks, and then to all of your events. So I'm looking forward to connecting with you on and offline on multiple occasions in the future. And thank you very much for being with us this afternoon.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
And good luck with the rest of the festival.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Bye.
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 Bye.